why he's doing this, and then what opportunities are for you as you are looking to develop your consistent profitability quotient in your trading. So I'll be around in the background. Right now it's 11:02 a.m. Eastern Time on June 1st, 2023. Everything we do is for educational purposes only. Nothing we take in as direct trading or investment advice. If you want these charts, let us know. If you're interested in trading coaching, let us know. We can have a private discussion about it. If you're interested in trading capital, click on the link and learn a little bit about it. The link that's in our service drives you to an opportunity to be part of our world when it comes to the affiliate program with Top Step, and we've got some good people over there. And then the sign up for the service. Sign up for the service is an opportunity for everybody. Join us in Zoom directly so that you can sign up. E-mini, tradealong.com, e-mini, tradealong.com. You know, one of the things that we get asked from time to time is trading. How do I get involved in the action of looking to learn and earn money on my own trading platform, your own trading platform? Well, we look at the S&P 500 E-mini as it is a index future, and it gives us the ability to trade on the long side and the short side. In other words, that you can be involved in the market when it's going up to make money, and you can be involved in the market as prices go down and look to make money based on trading the index's price. Now you'll see the charts. You'll see where it's trading right now. When you see the charts, there's 3 time frames. Well, there's 2 time frames for the S&P 500 E-mini and a 30-year bond chart. Again, you can have the same charts, but you'd be working off your individual personal platform. You'll be able to practice trade, practice against real-time data, in other words, the prices. You'll be able to keep score, P&L, profit and loss, so that you can see how you're doing based on your ability. You know, what I, from my humble opinion, suggest that you set yourself up with your platform, get it set up similar to what we're doing here. We can help you with that. And then just play with it. Get used to it, because you're playing with no money. You're playing in simulation against the market. And you can develop some skill in how to handle your orders, your P&L, and get a handle on where you're at, and then mentally get comfortable with the concept of trading, having your own platform, doing it from your own screen, and being in control. Now, after that happens, then you would plot Sol's levels in the morning, and then you would see the action of price in and around those levels. See the behavior of the market as it relates to his levels. You can hear Sol based on his commentary and the concept of a trade along partner. That concept, this concept, is pretty unique. You know, Sol's able to handle it as far as being able to trade his own account, work with individual traders that he has a relationship with, and provide the service as an opportunity to trade along with him, you know, based on his trading ability. So having a platform, being able to get used to it, learn how to plot the levels, see the action of price at those levels, and then put on some trades in simulation in and around his levels. Ask questions, interact, take a coaching session with Sol. Take those skills back into this service from 9:15 to 11:30. Listen, take action on your simulator. Take it seriously. So in the beginning, you're loose, You're throwing things around. You may even look really good based on your ability, which is great. Focusing down to, the old adage, perfect practice makes perfect. Well, you want to really hone into the discipline of price action trading. And when you have Sol's pre-mapped out levels, it gives you the ability to do what? Gives you the ability to see how the market is behaving based on its price movement as it relates to Sol's levels, as it relates to the opportunity to put a trade on, whether it's a fade trade, short trade, to be able to capture a downdraft or down movement, or a momentum trade, a long trade, capturing the upside of the market. That's the discipline. And you have the ability to practice that discipline here, in Sol's Zoom, in Sol's eminitradealong.com. It's a quick registration. You come in as a guest, look in your email to see the link to come in on a daily basis, and then pony up. If it's $400, no big deal. If it's $150, better. Pony up, then we can pay attention to you. Be part of Sol's world and look to become the best trader you can be. There are different data packages out there. There are different software packages out there. It all comes down to having a platform that you can control on your own computer with your own mouse and keyboard. Your opportunity, it's your business. And let's just talk about that for a second. Trading is not easy. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Trading is very easy. The act of trading, when you start to pick up on it, it's pretty darn easy. The concept of order execution and the best way to order execute can be taught, and you can pick up on that pretty easy. The concept of risk, money, the idea of money management, the psychology of it, that starts to come into play when you are at the point when you are risking capital in the marketplace. Now, we hope that you've taken the time to get good at this based on simulation and good at it from a discipline point of view. But what happens sometimes in a business opportunity is that you feel pressure to perform. In other words, if you owned a store, you'd be pressured to sell stuff and make the register for the day, make the bank for the day. Trading's no different. There is I'm sitting in front of my computer point of view, and I'm trying to eke out a living here. And if other people are counting on me, or I got to pay the rent and the lights and all that stuff, there is a natural push to do too many trades or not be prepared or think you know what you're doing. The key here is, how do you practice, work with somebody that can help sort of mold you in the right direction, adjust and tweak you based on what you're doing. And then as you start to get into the risk profile of trading live, you have somebody like Sol to be able to help you as you do it and critique and adjust you as you do it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's an interesting thing, right? So you are at the mercy of your own abilities. And when you have a shoulder to lean on, somebody that's done this before and has done this for 25 years or so, you have the benefit of leaning on somebody that has done it, continues to do it, and also continues to learn and tweak and adjust himself based on the daily action of price in the markets. You've seen days when it's like, too crazy to trade. There are other days where some people think it's too slow to trade. One of the things, with Sol's technique is, take out the crazy day or the crazy days, but the consistent, price movement. Saul's looking at his own trading and can teach you to do this. 2 points plus. And if you go back on the chart or go forward, based on what's happening in a particular day, 2 points plus is pretty readily available, based on these services. Not services, excuse me, based on what the market is giving. So if you go back, 2 points plus is a real grabber when it comes to doing one contract or two contracts at a time and grabbing your 2 points and closing out your trade. That's a decent day's work if you can do that. That's a big if, right? You'd have to prove out that you can do it and be consistent at it. But if you could chip, a couple points here and a couple points there, you could just go off and do something else. You don't have to be pinned to your screen. You can focus your attention on trading 2 hours a day, being done for the day, and come back and do it again the next day. Trading is some ways a contact sport when it comes to banging heads in and around other traders. Saul's levels are pretty good when it comes to not being part of that train wreck. And what I mean by that is that, let's say you are become a disciplined trader, and you are utilizing standardized software. And what I mean by standardized software is the software where you are being spoon-fed not only red light, green light stuff, but you're being indicated that there is an action going on that you should participate in. And software can lead you like a false friend into that problem. Now think about that for a second. Viva la différence. What is different from Saul, and what's different from other individuals, and what's happening based on crosses, time frames, indicators, other levels. They have market profile, different indicators on your screen that are indicating things to you and getting into your head. And think about all the other people. Like, if you could just close your eyes and just imagine all the people that woke up this morning, or depending on their time frame, coming into the marketplace, and the 9:30 bell out of New York is our opportunity point to start the day in the S&P 500 E-mini. We have flows coming into the market, providing a window of opportunity based on momentum and follow through for you to capitalize on your trading day. And all those people out there are doing the same thing. They're all looking for something to trigger them to get into a trade. Now, viva la différence, based on a relationship here with Saul, is that Saul is setting key levels, his levels, how he does it, based on his experience over the last 25 years. And again, you can learn this in his one of his coaching or mentoring sessions, is that he lays out a pivot price and other levels on top and bottom of that pivot. He gives them out to everybody, and they're reposted in the Zoom chat. Now, when you get those levels in the morning, Saul is also working off those levels, and they are, in most cases, different than the levels that are being spoon-fed to everybody else that you can visualize all at the starting gate, waiting to come out and look to make money against the action of price, and quite frankly, other traders that don't know any better. In other words, trading is a zero-sum game. For you to make money in this market, something or somebody, right, you have to take money from. They lose money, you make money. They're going in at what they consider their trading skills. They are utilizing, in a lot of cases, standardized software, standardized indicators, things that are in software, and they are being, I call it like a train wreck, where everybody is jumping in to do something, and the market shakes them out in other words, they have to take a loss, it gets stopped out based on how they entered the trade and where they place their stop, or fear and greed. What's different here is that Saul sets his levels. I would say that his levels are darn good, but you need to pay attention to that and do your own homework on Saul's levels so that you can make a value judgment for yourself. Hey, give me a quick sound check. Just let me know if my voice is coming through okay. If you could do that in the chat in Zoom, that would be great. So after the opening bell, Saul does a critical assessment of how the market is behaving, lets some people get shaken out, and then he decides how to approach the day based on contract size, risk profile for that day. He sees how the market is behaving around his pivot or his other levels, and then he does what? He may put on a trade and take it off based on the action of price in and around one of his levels, whether it's a fade trade or a momentum trade. Hey, Philip, appreciate it. So the concept here is that this trade along session on a trading day basis from 9:15 to 11:30 is for everybody. It's for those that are starting out in trading. It's for those that have a trading technique and they're looking for better levels, Saul's levels, better levels equal better trades. And then there is those individuals that want to get better. In other words, they have something and they want to have somebody help them make that into a consistently profitable trading technique. Price action trading has been around for a long time. It's a great opportunity for traders to really focus in on doing 2, 3, 4, 5 trades during the morning session, look to bank their money and be done for the day. And if you haven't banked your money, then reach out for help. Unfortunately, the person in the mirror really doesn't help you because you get diluted and it becomes sort of self-serving. You really, in my opinion, need to have somebody to be able to understand what you're trying to do, what you put together, and then how to pull the pieces out and help you bridge the gap from where you are to consistent profitability, which is hard to do. It takes a lot of work on Saul's part, and it takes a lot of work on your part, and it takes a lot of assessment. Self-assessment for what you're doing in your trading. That's like having a trading plan that doesn't include the ability to stop yourself out. So, or you miss an opportunity to get out and you start to, and this human nature, right? You start to justify or add to try to get yourself out of um, a bad trade. When you go into a trade, there is a reason you're going into that trade. There's also a reason that you get out of that trade right away. That's pre-planned based on your ability to trade. If you miss that opportunity, right, you may have to fight your way out of it a little bit because something unforetold happened. But generally, you need to be able to take the loss and reassess what you're doing, based on either simulation trading or real time. And then the concept is how do you, forget about the trade you did before and move on. And some people have a real hard time doing that, because they took a loss. Sometimes you got to come back the next day and not try to fight it out to get it back. Right? Ask somebody, in this case, it could be Saul, hey, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? And how do I get myself back on the horse here? And that's interesting also, right? So from a opportunity point of view for traders, I really do, in my opinion, like this concept of a trade along. I like the concept of being interact with other traders against one person. In this case, it's Saul, the 25-year veteran. The interaction happens between you and him, so it becomes personal. The other commentary that comes into the chat area generally is a commentary that is linked to what Saul and that individual have going, which is a great opportunity for everybody to learn from. And it becomes not a dialogue among the group of traders that don't know what they're doing or think they know what they're doing or just want to have conversation. It really is about the concept of how do I make money today? And if I am close, how do I bridge the gap from not making money today to making money? And who am I going to ask the question to? And it's been brought up a number of times that because Saul is trading, because Saul lays out the levels, because Saul is paying attention to what's happening based on those levels, he is tweaking and adjusting those levels, adding to those levels based on the action of price and the reality of that particular day. That when you ask him a question, you're going to get an answer. I mean, think about that. You're going to ask Saul a question about a particular area, about what happened based on the action of price as it related to the level. And you're going to get an answer that is an answer based on being in the battle, not talking about what might have happened in the battle, but having somebody there with you, being able to communicate back and forth with him about what happened on that trade. The answers coming back could be, hey, I saw the same thing and there was nothing we could do. Or, well, that level wasn't, had been hit a couple times today and it really was a level that, you could have stayed away from. So next time, stay away from that particular type of action of price. Or it could be, when you enter the trade, you could enter it here on that particular trade so that you didn't end up getting stopped out. Now, Saul has a particular way of entering a trade based on his own trading that is taught to you based on, your coaching sessions with him and the concept of being in the trade along as a supplement, to your coaching session. So it's really an opportunity for you, right, as an individual and your relationship with the Zoom room and the relationship with the participants in the Zoom room and the ability to have a relationship with him who is involved, in the trading. A lot of times people come in and they, really aren't interested in trading. They're interested in the camaraderie, I would say, based on everything around trading, which is fine. There's a lot that goes on here. There's a good group of people that have been trading for a long time that are part of Saul's world that come and go based on coming and going out of the Zoom room. They also come in and get the levels, and they may just work the levels for themselves during that day. And then we have others that are either new to trading and want to get set off on the right foot, which I think is critically important for you as individuals. I almost would say, let's say if you've been trading for a while and then you really want to buckle down and start to make money and be consistent on the profitability basis for yourself, that I would reassess everything. Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would start with, and this is my opinion, okay, is I would streamline your charts so that it doesn't have a whole bunch of stuff on there that is superfluous, not useful, bad stuff, distraction, indicates stuff and draws you into problems. If you have pre-mapped out levels and you now plot those levels, those become what you're interested in. You're not interested in anything else. You're interested in a couple things, right? You're interested in how the market is behaving as it relates to those levels, How are the levels working today based on the action of price? How to enter a trade based on, you know, so what Sol does is that he takes his levels and he loads them into his order entry. So he doesn't have to think when it comes to the execution part. He also is prepared based on, updating, changing, adapting based on his order entry. And then he'll enter based on a level at a particular area, depending if it's a short trade or a long trade. And he has a technique for that. And that technique can be taught so that you're not seeing things and saying, I wish I was participating, or I wish I got that one. But let's say your focus becomes, let's say you're set up with your account, you've got your stripped down charts, and you can look to use Sol's charts, and we can give you a template if you're part of one of our um, paid subscribers to the service, or you're a paid subscriber / affiliate with Top Step. You can have the same charts. You can learn how to load the levels into those charts. You can learn how to enter and exit a trade, day trade, a momentum trade based on Sol's price action trading technique. You can critique yourself against a conversation with Sol about how you did, why you did it, and things you did well and things you still need help on. I mean, think about that. You've got the opportunity to work with somebody and aid you in the development of your trading. So you could load the levels into your software. You could strip everything, it's my opinion, okay? You could strip out everything else. You could focus on the action of price. You can start to, in simulation, refocus yourself on where the rubber meets the road at the price action level of the trade. Now, that is a gift if you take the gift. We were talking to somebody the other day, and I think it was $400 a month based on the access to this service. And it was interesting because I did the calculation. And the calculation on the calculator was 400 divided by 20 days, bar holidays and stuff, right? That's $20 a day for coaching, for trade along coaching. I mean, that's just amazing to me. Now, if you go, oh, wow, there's a discount on this service. How much does it really cost me to do this at $150? $7.50 a day on the 20-day trading day cycle. Now, I just spoke to my daughter, and my daughter's in Manhattan, right? New York, Manhattan. And she's on her way to her office. She's young. She's in her low 20s. And a coffee, a decent cup of coffee, right, in Manhattan now is $6. Think about that. A decent cup of coffee in Manhattan is $6. Now, I was laughing the other day. I went and I bought what? Bought 3 sandwiches at a deli, New York deli, a couple salads, I think 2 bags of chips. It's $45 for that opportunity. Now, I know inflation's gotten crazy and all sorts of stuff, but to learn a business, to be schooled in the concept of trading, to be set off on the right foot or readjusted to the right foot. And then, you're taking all the risk, right? It's your business. It's your capital. It's your opportunity when it comes to trading other people's capital. You've got to develop a skill set and then work it to where you're confident and comfortable, and then pass, in top steps situation, you have to pass milestones before they give you any money, right? But price action trading is a great opportunity to be able to pass those milestones. And I think that that's something that, is a huge opportunity for individuals and traders. So the concept is to dial back all the complication, dial back things that are distracting to you, focus on the concept of action of price. If you like Sol's levels, in and around Sol's levels. If you're trading along with Sol and listening to him, he's adapting and tweaking and interacting with you, adjusting his levels. He's adjusting his, what would you call it? Whether he takes a level or not, whether a level is what? Not valid anymore, riskier. Some people love his, like when he lays out his levels, he lays out a number called a pivot. And then on top and bottom, he lays out, depending on the day, could have 5 or 6 or 7 on the top. He calls resistance, and then 5 or 6, levels, prices, right? In the S&P 500 E-mini, particular prices on the bottom. And individuals that are part of the service love his pivot trade, the trade in and around Sol's pivot. They'll make a few points off that, and they'll be finished for the day. In other words, they have come in, they've executed their plan based on their ability. They've made a buck, whether it's $100, $200, $250, $300, and they are happy with that amount of money, and then come back and do it tomorrow. In other words, cut the risk out. The risk of doing it again. And I actually went to my calculator and I said, okay, if I'm any good at this, right? And I make $200 a couple times a week, right? That's $600 a week. You're making $200 after commissions. And what's nice about the S&P 500 E-mini is if you go from one contract, 0 contracts in simulation, one contract in simulation, then depending on what you're doing based on your abilities, and you raise your contract size, you can now do one trade well at 2 points plus, with a 2-point stop. And I would mention that Sol does expand his stops based on the true action of this session's price movement or price action. So that's another thing, right? But the action of being able to peel off a trade in and around Sol's pivot or one of his other early levels, gives you the freedom to bank your money and be done for the day. Now, there are days you're going to lose money. There are days you're going to do this, do that, but that's all part of the game. That's why they call it consistent profitability. And let's say you're having a hard time. Well, you have Sol to work with to help recalibrate yourself or calibrate yourself. That's interesting too. That came up in one of the conversations. Let's say I'm good and I'm consistent, but the market is giving me something that's confusing, or I got cocky. In other words, I got full of myself because I was doing well, and then I started taking and straying from the plan, the concept, what's being taught, how I was making money before. It's always good to have somebody help correct you off of that, which I think is key. The concept of having somebody to say, hey, I feel like I'm straying. Can you pay attention to what I'm doing and help me get back into the on the right side of the earning ledger. That's part of it too. And who can give that to you? That's the other thing that throws me a little bit is that people talk to other people, but if those people aren't skilled in actually making money and you're not able to witness what's going on, then how in the world can you ask them their advice? Having cocktails with other traders, having social communication with other traders is great. Learning from other traders, they can give you the party line based on trading lingo and, standard answers and, that type of thing. But really, who are you going to listen to? Somebody that's actually trading it, somebody that's sharing their levels with you, somebody that's having an interaction based on those levels. You can you could pick up pretty quick that they're not good at what they do, right? That they're not making any sense. So we are here trading days from 9:15 to 11:30. Right now we're coming up on into the 11:30 zone. We look to shut this thing down at 12 noon or earlier, depending on Sal's schedule with his coaching sessions. Coaching sessions are done on an individualized basis in a private Zoom opportunity. Hey, quick shout out to Mauricio. Any luck with the connecting with Dolby? Robert, how are you making out? Scott, Frank, Philip, Dudley, everybody else? Give us a quick hi sign in the Zoom chat. The Zoom access is emini-tradealong.com, emini-tradealong.com. If you like what we're doing here, tell your friends. Give them the access pass, which is that emini-tradealong.com, and we'll be happy to work with you. emini-tradealong.com, emini-tradealong.com.